ranking of schools. We remember this thing has been a problem over time. In 2014, the cabinet secretary banned the ranking of schools because he said that it was contributing to cases of exam cheating. So what informed you, members of parliament, because we have 3 of you here, in passing that bill yesterday? We'll start with you.
I want to say, unfortunately, I was not in the house when it was passed yesterday.
Were you in the house, Bonakanil Kega, when you passed the bill yesterday?
Yes, I was.
You voted for it?
I will make my submission after she.
Were you in the house yesterday?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so
but let me give my views. But had I been in the house, I would have opposed. I am with former PS Kaimenyi on the issue of ranking. Because for me, the genesis of cheating is ranking of schools.
Yes.
So I would have opposed that bill. I do not support it. I believe that we need to work hard. There were days when there was no ranking, and the students would work so hard. They were equally motivated. So I do not believe that the ranking in itself is a motivation for students. There are other parameters. There are other contributors to better performance. So I would appeal to the president, in fact, not to assent to that bill.
Yes, well, I can take it.
You know, in Parliament we take collective responsibility. That the bill was passed yesterday, and for me, I am not very comfortable with it. We passed it, but I'm not very comfortable with it. As my colleague has said, there's a genesis of cheating, and you know, this school want to compete with that one. This school want to position itself that this is the best performing school, and the principals will always put a price tag, you know, for you to join the school because it is performing very well. You need to give this premium. I don't think we need to go back to the ranking. This issue of competition, I think, is the one that has brought us to where we are. These issues of exam cheating, this principal want to collude with particular people so that they can do this cheating. But however, having said that, I believe even the fires that we have in this country, they have been perpetrated by that cartel that has been selling exams. Honestly, we need to crack into it, and I don't think that is the route to follow to go back to exam ranking. For me, it doesn't add value in our education system.
Yes, sir, Nyonka.
I was in the house, and the Honorable Amalo had really whipped up many members in the house to vote for this bill. I completely agree with my colleagues. Of course, we tried to, you know, the speaker said, will as many as those eyes.
And when the speaker said that, because we ran that story, the nays could not be heard at all.
That is true. That is true. And you know, in Kenya, I think we now need to start looking at ourselves in the mirror. We now need to start asking, where are we? What is this we are doing? Why would you want to take a school and rate it or rank it when you know very well, for example, that this is the genesis of the issues which we have in our hands right now. That, I mean, you can see what the minister has been saying, that you have individuals who have you know, accessed NEC, they have been able to raise money. There is even money called motivational fees, which is being taxed from you know, parents, so that this money is then taken over to the Ministry of Education, is being taken over to the Kenya National Examination Council for our children, just to be given fake documentation for them to be told that you've passed, and we are destroying these children's lives. I think for us, let us look at what has worked for this country before, and let us try and work with that. The reason why, finally, sorry, Senator, the reason why I think the idea of ranking was brought is because I remember Nat having raised this issue and said, no, the ranking was good because then it would show which schools are doing well, which ones are not doing well, in terms of infrastructure, provision of books, how many teachers are in each school. But the reality is that some of the schools which are doing badly are not doing badly because they don't have enough teachers. They were not doing badly because they were not having books. or even if the books were there, some of the books were not even appearing, they were not being taken to school and everything. I think I completely agree with Mary Amase that the president should not sign this bill. Let's leave it. Let us try and pick up the pieces from where our education sector is. And I will tell you, I completely support Minister Matiang'i, because we are dealing with the problem and not the symptoms.
Yes, but Hassan Omar, we have three members of parliament here who should have voted against the bill, but it actually passed.
If I was in that parliament, in the National Assembly, Parliament,
yes,
but
the National
everybody's a member of Parliament.
Yes,
but then there's the National Assembly and the Senate. If I was in that National Assembly, I would have voted for that bill.
You support ranking in schools?
I have been a competitive person myself, and I do not cheat a single day. I was ranked in class. I was ranked in the stream. It's just a continuation of the same thing. So so you are number 1 in class, number 4 in the stream, number 5 in the district, or number 10 in the district, number whatever in the provincial, number whatever. It allows a competitive age in terms of but we need to also have an education system that does not relegate those who do not do well to oblivion. That's what we need to do, some of the education reforms. That if a kid does not do well in Form 4, that should not be a death sentence, or in Standard 8. We must look for a way in which we are able to have an education system that nurtures and grows on the weaknesses and or grows on the talents of those who receive that education. So if our value system is wrong, if we are the parents who go and buy papers for our kids, that's a very, very, very silly parent. Whoever buys, any parent out there, you are so silly. If you are buying
but
for
the
your
competition,
kids,
the parent
paper.
is not told we are buying
No,
it.
but the
parent
some
is
of
told to pay motivation.
even the teacher is a parent. So any teacher, any parent who buys exams for the kid. So it speaks to the value systems that we have.
Yes.
It's nothing wrong with ranking per se.
Yes.
So we were ranked. I know my position in class throughout my education, the educational program, from the time I was in Mombasa Primary to Lenana School. And even at the time when I was in the university, we were ranked in the first class, upper second, lower second, pass. So these things will always happen for as long as we need to know who amongst us also stands with this first class brain.
Yes.
We need our Einsteins of Kenya. We need to know them. So we need to have a system that grows the best of us. So I think the issue of ranking per se is not bad. So if there are cartels that sell exams, go for those cartels. If there are parents who are buying papers and teachers, go for those teachers. If there are, so just education reform rather than blame it all on the ranking.
Yes.
I listen to Senator, but I strongly believe that we need first of all to address some of the challenges facing the education center. Let us have a level playing ground for all the schools, so that by the time we begin to rank, we have already provided sufficient infrastructure. There are schools in this country, you find a school, I visited some of my schools, a school with a population of 1,000 pupils has less than 10 TSC teachers. Why? To me, the priority is, let us first provide the teachers. Let us provide the school infrastructure. Then we can talk about ranking when we have a level playing ground. How do you begin to rank a school that has 20 teachers, 30 teachers, with a school that has got 7 teachers, with a higher population than the other school, in terms of providing the basic infrastructure that are required? Then when that time comes, then I would support ranking.
Yes.
For me, I want even to take it a notch higher. I belong to that school of thought that does not believe in even KCPE and KCSE. Imagine a student who has been performing very well from Standard 1 up to Standard 8. The exam in KCPE is done in 3 days.
3 days.
On that particular day, he has a running stomach. That student will not be able to sit that exam. You can now imagine that person who has been performing very, very well is condemned forever because of one day, you know. And I think we should adopt this this method of continuous assessment, you know. You assess that person from Saturday 1 up to Saturday, then you do an average. But you cannot condemn a person basically because of one day. So this issue of ranking, this issue of just having one exam, to me, I don't subscribe into it. But I also like what he is saying, that you know, there are so many successful people in the world. In fact, most of the very, very successful people were not very good in class, you know, and we have perfect examples. So we should not just condemn or say that if you fail academically, then you are doomed in life. We need also to explore other aspects of life.
I think for me, the last comment I wanted to give is that what Senator Hassan said is that the ranking of Nini creates competition, and obviously it's clear when you look from the child who was in even from pre-primary all the way, you can see the trend and you can see the growth. The only thing that is so fascinating, because remember during the early days, up to the 80s and 90s, even NEC used to have the graphical extrapolation of how a school did, and it would very simply actually explain how that school was doing. And yet what is happening these days is that you'll find a school which has got 290 students and 285 get A's and 2 get B's. You know that's not normal.
It is abnormal.
and then we rank that school and say it's normal. You know it's not normal to have a school where out of 300 kids, 295 get A's. Otherwise then so all those kids should have been engineers, and all of them are extremely bright, and all of them are doctors.
It doesn't happen.
But all I appreciate now, the all you said is, even when Mary was speaking, the ranking is not the problem. The problem is systemic. So the systemic issues, whether they are enough efficient teachers or not. And then, but you see, that's why you are
strengthening system.
That's why you are representative.
So that we are sure there is no cheating before we bring up the
But you see, that's why we are representatives here. That's why when you see a school in your county having in your constituency having less than the number of teachers, the issue is about the staffing. It's a responsibility of the national government to staff that school. It's not a question about abolition of systems that hitherto have created and nurtured competition. So for me, I don't believe we must relegate our 10-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 18-year-olds to oblivion on account that they did not do well on KCSE or KCPE. We must look for a means and a methodology. And those people who are most successful in life, they're just a few who did not go through school, and because we'll hear somebody saying Bill Gates was a school dropout. It is true he was a school dropout, but even the teachers in school knew he was a first-class mind. So it's not just a school dropout in your casual sense, because people use these kinds of analogies to tell you why a certain school is at point X and Y. That you know, so they tell you that Bill Gates did not dropped out of school. Prophet Muhammad did not go to the university. So you know, even Jesus Christ who don't read and write. Those are people who want to undermine. Muhammad was taught by the Creator. So was Jesus Christ. So these are some of the issues that we must not allow people to undermine our own philosophy of education, because it actually in 90% of the times it brings the best out of us. And in those cases where you go with a running stomach is in the minority. It's a Ronaldo issue. You know, remember unfortunately when he was playing against France, he was having a run the player could not score. So it's one of the majority, I think, don't have running stomachs. So not all the geniuses have a running stomach on election day.
So now I want us to move on to politics, but before that, because Mheshimiwa requested that you would want to make a comment on one particular story, and this is